I've always believed in a life of service. It's really important to give back and to lift up others. You can do anything. You really can move mountains. And it's important to use our voice in order to advocate. Find a cause that you really can care about.
Well, hello, SLAE family. We are joined today by special guest, Heather Cassity, founder of Cassity Consulting. Thank you so much for being here today, Heather.
Thank you so much for having me, Leanne. I appreciate this. This is awesome.
I'm really excited to have you here. I must say, I've never met somebody who does what you do, Heather. It's really wild. You have started a consulting firm that helps nonprofits. I know you're located out of the Baltimore, Washington area, and we're going to dive into what you do and how you help people. But first, I'd love to hear a little bit about your background. What is it that inspired you for your passion in the nonprofit sector? I know you've also served in the military, so
Yeah.
thank you for your service. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about those two and how they came together to get you into the nonprofit world.
Well, thank you very much. And as I always like to say, it was my honor to serve, and I would do it all over again. I've always believed in a life of service. It's really important to give back and to lift up others, and so I really prioritize that within my work. So being able to be a part of the military, I served for 10 years. And being able to be a part of something bigger than myself is really it's rewarding and it's energizing. And I guess in that light, it is a bit of selfishness because I do enjoy the reward. I enjoy seeing others feel empowered and lifted up, and to see them reach their goals. That's really important to me. And so being able to transfer, coming out of the military, I worked a little bit as a private contractor, but finding my way into nonprofit was also extremely rewarding. And so just continuing my life and using my skills for good. I know that that's something that I always say is use your powers for good. And whatever that might mean for you, it's important to continue to pass that on. Leave something better than the way you found it. And so I've been able to translate that into a career in nonprofit management. And now being inspired to actually take the leap and jump into my own consulting company to help other nonprofits is really amazing. Spending time with others who are doing incredible missions and doing amazing work and making that impact on someone else for better is really inspiring to me. So knowing and having that experience from working in nonprofit and how hard and challenging it can be with limited resources, I want to take that to greater communities. I want to take my lessons learned, and I want to be able to help others with that.
So let's take a minute before we dive into your consulting firm, a little bit about what you did and what some of your experiences were in the nonprofit sector. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
So I feel like I have a wide breadth of experience within nonprofit management.
Yes, you do.
So it comes down to coming up with some creative strategic plans to utilize your resources wisely. So it may be, I have experience with strategic planning, with creating donor engagement plans, community engagement plans, making sure that your training and your development, your professional development, and your team development are in sync. So that way, again, you're creating a great environment for people that want to stay and retain staff. So I have experience with really all of that, all areas that you can think of when it comes to nonprofit management. I actually have experience with that. Crisis communication plans, facilities management, board management, board relations, creating teams, developing relationships. And that's really the key right there, is relationship building, and team development. So I have quite a wide breadth of experience there, and I want to be able to bring that to the table.
And you talk about team building and relationships. Were there particularly people that stood out as role models or mentors for you as you've been growing your career and before and like guiding you into getting to the point where you wanted to start your own firm?
Yeah. I think I've been lucky to have quite a good handful of good role models in the military and my family, and in the nonprofit world. So, even down, I remember there was a staff sergeant that said, when you get to a leadership role, you should be taking notes, right? What do you want to be? What kind of leader do you want to be? And I took that to heart. And so it was something that, I would keep like a running list of what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. So
Mm,
everybody ended up becoming that role model there.
that's
Coming
brilliant
into
advice.
it is, and I like to pass that on to other people that I mentor and I support, because again, who do you want to be? Because you choose who you're going to be, right? And
Mhm.
you take those experiences and you shape who you are and your future. So I've been able to do that, and I've had some key relationships, some ride or die buddies out there that I hope will be listening to this, and learning from them that relationships are really the key, and they're really the key for everything. It's about networking. It's about creating that trust, building that trust, because when you have the right team and when you have the right support, you can do anything,
Yeah.
and you can really take those insurmountable hills that you may feel like they are, but you can break them apart, and you can take step by step, and you really can move mountains.
Mm.
And working in nonprofit, that is what I have been able to see. I've been able to witness that. I've been able to see miracles happen out of thin air on a wish and a prayer. And how did that happen? I don't want to say it's magic. Sometimes it's divine intervention, whatever that may be. But I've seen it happen, and it's awesome.
It is amazing. And how does your family view all this? I mean, you're really incredibly powerful and impacting not only people in the nonprofit sector, but we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things you're doing in the community. Is your family sharing the view of the importance of service?
They do, and there's no decision I don't make without involving them. They are my number one team, and they're my number one support.
Yeah.
So, it's nice to hear that they're proud of me, because I'm proud of them. Even my kids, it's interesting to see how aware they are of what's going on, and it's interesting to hear them talk, about subjects that they care about. My kids, they do care about civil rights. They care about trans rights. They care about other people, women empowerment. They care about equality and equal access. And to hear them talk about that, it's empowering for me too, and I'm really proud of them.
And they're
Um,
young, if you don't mind sharing. I mean, they're still in
so
school.
they're 12 and 15, and they're going to do great things.
Of course they will. Look at their mom.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Cassity Consulting. So you have a really unique approach to serving nonprofits. Can you talk about some of the strategies and some of the things that you bring to the table for a nonprofit?
So I do really bring value to the nonprofit, to another organization. But I really, again, I start with building trust. It's building that relationship.
Mm,
You have to understand the culture. You have to understand the motivations and the mission. I have to understand everybody that's involved, from your board members, the volunteer, the community. your donor base. And you have to understand the infrastructure and the whole organizational culture in order to be successful, in order to come in and figure out what their unique needs are. And it's not one size fits all. It really is, a nonprofit leader can come to me and they might have, they might think that they are facing this one challenge, but after we sit down and we talk, and we might find out that that might not be their needs. They might not need a very expensive software platform. Maybe what they might need is a good training plan in order to get what they already have to work better for them. And so, it's what I bring to the table is I'm able to bring that fresh perspective and maybe hone in on those priorities. Because again, when you are working in nonprofit, your resources are limited,
Yeah.
and you're always looking for funding. You're always looking for the next problem to solve is always at the right in front of your doorstep. So it's just, getting in line. So sometimes it just might be a little help to prioritize. And I'm also, Cassity Consulting is not going to try and sell you something that's super expensive and something that you don't need. As a nonprofit leader myself, um, I would get so many offers and so many people trying to knock on the door, trying to sell me the next best thing. And it's just not what you need. You do have problems to solve. You have a mission to carry out, but you need to be strategic. You need to be practical. You need to be realistic. And what exactly can you manage? And so I can do that. I can come in and I can take a look and I can see, where I can help. I can help you. I can help the organization determine, what exactly is going to benefit them right now and what should be long term. So,
That's an excellent. So it's a really customized approach to each nonprofit that you interact with.
yeah.
Is there any particular success story that you're excited about that you'd like to share with us?
Well, so I mean, I'm very proud of the work that I have done in my career.
Mhm.
Again, my organizations that I've been involved in, I was able to double the budget, increase revenue streams, retain 70% of the staff. And so that's huge. And so I want to make sure that I'm bringing that value to the table. I just recently helped another business out with a grant award. And it's really going to be an amazing step for them. It's really going to take them to the next level. And that is everything that I could ask for as a business owner. And again, seeing somebody else succeed, because maybe it might just be just that little push or that little polish or that or it could be something large, but even if it's small, it's one of those things that I really get excited about.
Fantastic. Now, in addition to all of that that you have going on, you also have done a lot regarding bringing up the conversation of affordable housing, and you've served as a chairperson and worked on, projects to end homelessness. So I would love if you would expand into that piece of the Heather impact here and
Sure.
what you are doing and some of the things that you see, and that would be fantastic, please.
Yeah. So again, I think it's really important to use your voice. I think it's important to advocate. There's so many people out there, so many marginalized communities that haven't had the same chances. And
Mm.
it's important to use our voice in order to advocate. And so when it comes to people experiencing homelessness, people at risk of homelessness, and affordable housing, they go hand in hand. And I want to use my voice to change the conversation around affordable housing.
Mm.
It's actually good for the economy. There's a lot of data out there to prove that point. It is about job creation. It is about creating communities and having people come together. And so I want to be able to utilize my platform and my experience and my passion to make sure that I'm trying to make a bigger impact, and yes, an advocate. So I'm a board member for Anne Arundel Affordable Housing Coalition, and we get behind bills that support legislation to change policies, and to what we want is to make it enticing for developers to come into the community, right, and build those mixed income units here. And it's really it's only going to make our communities better for future generations.
course.
And we need to get away from concentrated poverty. We need to really take a look at what we have been doing. We need to go ahead and implement some changes. We need to start thinking outside of the box. And so through my company, I want to be able to provide services and provide that realistic look, and what exactly can we be doing to better our communities? Because we can actually stop multi-generational poverty. We can increase the access to education, and we can do that for everybody. And when we do that, everybody wins.
Yes.
So it's just better for all of us. When I think about, and honestly, I can talk about this all day, but I do research. I still do research. This is a personal passion of mine, and so when we take a look at from someone, even if you just want to go for the wallet, and talk about how much the individual taxpayer spends on someone experiencing homelessness, could be upwards of $75,000 per person, but it costs 60% less just to house people, because they're not taxing our systems. They're not utilizing those resources of police. They're not going in and out of the jail system, the hospitals. So all in all, affordable housing is great for the community. And so I want to be able to use my voice for that as well.
That's incredible. And you do talk a lot about, future generations. Let's expand on that. So for you, when you look at all of these things, there are two components I'd love to discuss with you. One is where you see the future of nonprofits. We'll start with that one. Where do you see that going? How do they play a role in this? Are there going to be changes in the industry? Are you see ways that they can have more an impact as well in the fight against homelessness? Both pieces, if you would start with that, please.
Okay, that's a big question.
It's two questions. I threw two at
two,
you at the
two
same
questions.
time. Sorry about that.
Um, so nonprofits play a vital role in community, in building communities, in creating those networks of social safety services, creating that. I'm sorry, I want to say that social safety network.
Mm,
And nonprofits are always going to play a vital role. Government can't do everything, and they've always provided that need to fill that gap, right? So I think it's important to remember nonprofits aren't going away, and they give over $1 trillion into the current economy as it is.
wow.
And we're also looking at a time where we're going to be coming on a time where there's going to be that transition of wealth from one generation to another.
Mhm.
And so, and philanthropic giving is actually on the rise. So we're looking at, I actually did some stats. We're actually looking at a 4% rise in philanthropic giving in 2024 and 2025. And so of course we have our generation, the baby boomers between 55 and 75, they're the most philanthropic. But the next generation that's coming up, our Gen Zers, they are the next biggest generation. And they're really going to be shaping the way that we do business, just
Mm,
like the boomers did. They're going to be shaping the way that we donate, the way that we fundraise, the way that I think that we just approach business all around. And so it's important to understand that and understand those trends, understand the trends of AI and technology, and use that to your advantage. And really and figure out like what is going to engage the up and coming generation. And that's all about that's figuring out, looking at their values and looking at your mission and making sure things align. And also realizing too, you may be so you let me rephrase that. So you may be so focused on today, right? Trying to make that budget. You may have that gap in your budget, but you also have to be focused on looking at that volunteer could turn into a donor. That donor can turn into a board member. That volunteer may turn into a staff member. And so, the next generation, the millennials and Gen Z, they're actually looking behind the curtain to see what's going on in your nonprofit.
Mm.
And they want to make sure that they're going to be aligning their values with their dollars. And we're already seeing that in the statistics and the data that we're gathering now. And so we need to make sure that we're preparing for that in the future. And so, and again, I keep on top of the trends. I am looking into the future. It's that strategic point of view. And what can we be doing now in order to make sure that that nonprofit is going to be sustainable in the future? Create that infrastructure now. And because nonprofits are always going to exist, we will always need them. And communities can be stronger as long as there are strong partnerships between government and community agencies and nonprofits and individuals.
It's incredible because you have not only a lot to offer with your consulting and then your advocacy, but your vision for engaging and empowering the next generation is really exciting too. And, as you look at all that, maybe, what are some of the challenges that you faced along the way or lessons in overcoming challenges that you'd want to pour into that generation if you had a chance to, share some words of wisdom?
Oh gosh. Um, whew, um, it's okay to take off more than you can chew. It's okay to be a little underwater. Have to be brave and don't be afraid to fail. I think that is something that I have in inherent, like it, that is part of me. It's okay to fail forward.
Yeah.
You have to, because mistakes aren't mistakes unless you have to learn from them. So then they're not mistakes, right? So everything is a learning opportunity, a learning to learn to grow and follow your passion, follow your heart. That is something you you if if you're not getting a lot of reward out of it, why are you doing it? And so, this consulting business is something that I've talked about for years. And, I've dabbled in consulting throughout the years. And, I decided that 2024 was my year. I was going to do it and just jump in and be brave. I
Love
think my first post was like, be bold, be brave. I'm starting Cassity Consulting this year. And surround yourself with people that make you feel empowered. That's so important. And to have a good support system, to have a good network, because there are challenges, and of course you worry, and of course there's always self-doubt, but it's really important to remember that you got to be bold and be brave and don't wait. I mean, if the pandemic has taught us anything, that you never know what tomorrow is going to bring. And so I think it's really important to live your truth and
Seize the moment, maybe too.
yeah, seize the moment, a little carpe diem. And um, yeah, that's just really important. I mean, things can be scary, life can be hard. I always say this too, life is pain, you just get used to it. But what do you do to solve the problem? What do you do to make it better? And follow your heart, follow your passion.
Outstanding. And if somebody was watching this and maybe they're like you, so they had, they've been in the military or they've been in a traditional career and they thought, I'm really interested in going into the nonprofit sector specifically. Is there anything that you would offer them as guidance or advice if they were looking to make a shift into your world?
Mm, um, just do it. Find something that you can get behind, because in the nonprofit world, the pay's not always there, right? We all talk about that. Nonprofits are doing things with less on a shoestring budget, which hopefully I aim to change, going into the consulting business, because nonprofits, um, they can take, it can take a lot. Um, find a cause that you really can care about, because you are running a million miles a minute, no matter what your mission is, no matter what your organization is.
Yes.
You are running a million miles a minute, and you have to be able to be proactive. You have to think outside of the box sometimes, and you don't want to lose the reason why you're there. But you
Mm.
also have to focus too on work-life balance. There is that. You have
How
to.
do you do that,
How
Heather?
do
Let's
you
talk
do
about
it?
you've got your consulting business, you're an advocate for ending homelessness, you've got 2 kids, how and a husband and all those different things, a dog, you've got it all going on. How do you do the work-life balance? Are there things or hobbies or something that you use to kind of push that balance into your schedule? What do you do?
So I run my own schedule. That is for sure. And running my own company, absolutely create that schedule each day, and I
Mm.
create my to-do list, and I make sure that and I employ all different kinds of methods. The 80/20, or just pick three things, or just do something for 5 minutes just to get started. I employ all of that, just so that way I stay on track, because there is so much to do. But I paint, I garden, I love to cook. And, because of my kids' ages, they're going to be off to college in 5 minutes. So I am working on making sure that, I'm spending time, and I'm being present. And that's actually something that I have to say I learned from my other work colleagues, my other people that I have managed and been able to support. I've been able to learn from them too. I know, as a Gen Xer myself, it's, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, get to work, and nose to the grindstone. It's definitely something that I've learned from the younger generation is, and oh, wait a minute, what are you doing to fill your cup? And so it's really important to remember to do that. I started writing. That's something as well that I'm doing, and I'm writing a book. And that is all about my experiences in homelessness services, and navigating systems, and stories of what I witnessed, and what people have to go through, and looking for that balance, of trying to navigate all the systems, yet advocate to change policies. And so that also gives me an outlet, for creative expression, while also following my passions as well.
Wow. So with all of these things on the table and all the things that you're passionate about and helping, what is your vision? If you could look down the road in the future, what would you love to see the broad impact of Cassity Consulting as it continues to grow? What would you love to see that impact be? How would you see it making a huge difference?
Well, I would love to be able to say one day it's going to be a Fortune 500 company, and I'm going to be able to say, it'll be Heather Cassity, philanthropist. That will be my title, ultimate
Outstanding.
goal, and be, a huge firm where, we're earning so much business that I can, provide some nonprofits free work and free consulting. That would be amazing to be able to provide grants for that. My grand dreams. Um, and I really, personally, I'll really take a look at the end of this year and say, what was a success, and I'm really going to be taking a look at how many people that I was able to connect, how many partnerships was I able to create in order to help X number of organizations. That's what I'm really hoping for, is that impact, is that the impact on the community, because that's really sustainable. That's where communities will thrive, and so that's where I hope Cassity Consulting is next year, and then we'll take on the rest of the world later. But we're gonna do it in incremental steps.
Well, I look forward to the progress report from, the different stages all the way to the Fortune 500. Why not? Right? I love
Why
that.
not?
Look, if you're out to serve, so many times when you focus on serving other people, it's when everything comes your way anyway. So you are destined for great things because your whole life is about serving people.
Mm.
So before
Thank
we
you for
wrap
saying
up, I
that.
would love it if you would just take a minute and give out some information if people want to learn more about your company, your website, Instagram, Facebook, any way that people can learn about you or communicate and reach out to you. Maybe somebody's watching this or listening to this and they have a nonprofit, or they know someone who's got a nonprofit in their mind they want to grow, or there's a struggling one. So tell us all the different ways you can be reached.
So my website is the fastest and the easiest way to get a hold of me. It's CassityConsulting.com. And I spell my name with a T, Cassity. So that's the fastest way to get a hold of me. I am on Instagram and Twitter, and I'm also on LinkedIn, but definitely check out my website. I'm blogging more, I'm writing more about what Cassity Consulting can offer your organization, and what services that I can offer. But you know, even if there's a question about how I can help, just reach out. You can certainly just go ahead and just email me. I make it really easy on my website in order to just get a hold of me. You can talk about your project, and then we can figure out how to collaborate together.
Outstanding. Well, you have a heart of gold. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for spending the time with us today. And I'm excited. We've had a lot of nonprofits featured here in SLAE. So I look forward to them getting to learn more about you and what you have to offer to support them as well.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been a tremendous opportunity. I love talking to you. You're so much fun.
Right back at you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.